sometimes the stuff coming in, there's like a little glitch there. The logical mind is, I should try harder. I need to get over this. I just need to get over it. I just need to let it go. The reason it's not working is because it's those thoughts, those feelings are not coming from that part of the mind. It's coming from the primitive part of the mind, which is causing them to create some survival, basically, make sure to keep you safe and keep you alive. And so that's the cool thing about RRT is that we go in and we use language, which is why I said it looks like a conversation, to then unique processes, which update the primitive part of the mind. So we get right to the root cause, we update and we clear things there at that primitive part of the mind. And then the things that were bothering you are gone. And it's quick and it's lasting.
Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hey, my Feel Good friend, and welcome back to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and today we have a very special return guest. Her name is Tani, and you may have heard her on the Feel Good Social Podcast in previous years because she was my mindset coach for a couple years as I was starting my business, and she truly did so much to help me grow in confidence and help me understand how to navigate entrepreneurial triggers that pop up in our daily lives in our business. And so I cannot recommend Tani enough. However, today we are talking about her new focus when it comes to mindset work. Tani is actually an RRT specialist. And I believe actually since our recording, she got her next level certification and became the first certified RRT therapist in Canada. Don't quote me on that. I probably got the language wrong there, but Tani knows what she's talking about when it comes to RRT, which is rapid resolution therapy. And so in today's episode, we are talking about what the heck RRT even is, if you haven't heard of it, because let me tell you, I did not really know about it until Tani started talking about it myself. And also we're talking about how RRT therapy can really help us as entrepreneurs and online business owners to show up with more confidence and work through our daily challenges fairly easily, honestly. RRT sounds awesome. I cannot wait to schedule an appointment with Tani at some point in the future to test out this therapy. But I know you're going to love this conversation and find it just as interesting as I did. So if you do, make sure that you share this episode with another business friend who could also use to listen to it. And hey, while you're at it, why not leave us 5 stars or a friendly review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on, because it really does help us to continue spreading our feel good message and growing our feel good community. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Hi, Tani. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social Podcast, lady. I'm so excited to bring you on the show.
I'm so excited to be back. Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to connect and chat again.
I know. I'm so excited to chat with you again because if you are a longtime listener to the Feel Good Social Pod, you may know that Tani and I worked together on mindset stuff for a good few years, and you helped me so much in so many ways to overcome personal stuff and also business mindset stuff. And we've talked to you on the podcast before, but you have somewhat shifted recently into a new form of therapy that's a little bit different than what we were using when we were together, and that's really intriguing and new. And so I can't wait to talk to you about it. But I do like to start these conversations by asking, just in your own words, who are you, what do you do, and who do you serve?
Yeah, so I'm a mindset mentor and a certified rapid resolution therapy specialist, and I clear negative thoughts, painful emotions, stucknesses, and undesirable behaviors. So entrepreneurs can thrive in business and in life. So when we have heavier things going on in life, it takes us out of our business and takes us away from being able to show up fully for it. I like to clear those things so that then you're fully available to be in your business and to be your best self.
Oh, yes. And you speak my language when you say that stuff. So let's maybe talk about how you started pivoting into the rapid resolution therapy and kind of getting curious about that, and maybe just start by telling us what it is too, because it was new to me when you first introduced it to me.
Yeah. So rapid resolution therapy is a very fast way to get clear and free. And one of the things that caught my attention right away is it doesn't require reliving negative emotions or painful analysis of the past, right? You've heard of people going to therapy, and they'll go to therapy for years and they're pulling up old stuff and rehashing old stuff. And actually, you were key in me being interested in this, because as a client, you were not all that interested in feeling old feelings, right? And so I actually saw a post on Instagram talking about, it said, what if you didn't have to feel it to heal it? And of course, I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Because that's what I had been helping you and my clients do. Feeling it to healing it. I had been getting success with my clients, right? You just mentioned I helped you a whole lot. And it took quite a significant amount of time. And so I looked a little bit more into RRT and found out that it moves much faster. And if you do have to feel the feeling, it's only maybe 5 seconds. Like we're not talking about it. We're not rehashing it over and over again. And we can usually resolve an issue in 3 sessions, maybe even less, but 3 90-minute sessions, we can usually resolve one issue. Sometimes people find new things come up and they come back for different issues. But let's say you have a fear of showing up. In less than 3 sessions, we can clear that for you now.
Yeah, I know. And so it's just hilarious how this has come about with us, especially, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. You guys, as an Enneagram 7, I am an avoider of feelings. For sure. I like the good feelings and I don't like feeling stuck, which is exactly what you said, or just feeling scared or sad or whatever it is. That was totally a theme of our therapy. And it's been interesting too, because you did help me to really address the negative stuff I was dealing with, the negative emotions, all that different stuff. And you really helped me develop tools to feel it and learn from it and move on from it and catch emotions and understand them in the moment. But then when you started doing the rapid resolution stuff, I was like, but wait, this is like different than what we've been working on. So can you share a few of the ways that rapid resolution therapy is different than what you were doing? What do your sessions look like and stuff?
Well, a session still looks a lot like a coaching session or a conversation. There will be probably more moments where I might ask you to close your eyes, because it's been shown that your brain is more receptive. Your mind is more receptive. You hear it on a deeper level when your eyes are closed. One really main thing is that we as the facilitator take responsibility for the transformation or the shift. In coaching, you may have heard sometimes people talk about people are resistant. In mental health, I think that means that people aren't willing to feel the feelings. In coaching, it has a little bit of a different meaning, but I know that there are clients that have heard certain other coaches say things like, you're not motivated to learn, or you're not motivated, you're not ready to change. And in RRT, we believe if you've come to me, you've tried to change it on your own and you haven't been able to. And that's why you're reaching out for help. And so I'm the expert and I'm going to take responsibility for clearing this for you. So that's one huge difference that comes up right off the bat for me. And then, another one is that it is very different in terms of this whole idea out there that you have to feel your feelings. And if you get enough of it out, then it'll go away. But if you've ever lived with somebody who's really angry or around someone that's really angry, they're probably angry a lot. And you're like, okay, I don't see it ending here. It's not getting out necessarily, right? Mm-hmm. So I personally think that there's a balance between the two, right? Like I think there's some emotions like sadness. If you separate sadness from the story you're telling, the thoughts in your mind, sadness usually does flow through you quite quickly in like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So even in our RT, we may allow some sadness to just be there because we know it'll flow through. With things like anger or fear, these emotions are very useful in keeping us alive. But in most of modern day life right now, it's rare that we need to run really fast from a predator, which is what fear will help you do, or run up to someone and bite a chunk out of their arm or their face and create this little blood geyser all over, right? That's not useful, which is what anger is strengthening your body to do. So things like that, while at one point were very beneficial to us for our survival, now in this modern world are useless and even less than useless, and even in a sense creates dysfunction in our mind. So those kind of things we clear really quickly.
Yeah. Okay. I love that you brought it to like the irrational fear, the irrational anger of sorts and stuff, because exactly that is one thing that I haven't really ever understood about like normal therapy as much as, yes, exactly. Sadness, you can feel through it, but then there's some emotions where you're like, but I don't want to feel through that necessarily.
And especially if you've experienced some sort of trauma, if you think about a sexual assault or rape, and then you go to a therapist who's, you haven't felt it enough, who's going to say, yeah, I want to feel that again? Nobody wants to feel that. Many of us feel certain moments, let's say a trauma with a small t. Our parents said something or spanked us or did something that wasn't a big trauma, but it really left an impact on us. Many people don't even want to feel those feelings, right? So that's what I think is so beautiful about it, is it's incredibly healing for so many different issues. And you don't have to feel, like you said, you don't have to relive the trauma.
Yeah.
Or negative emotions.
I love that. Yeah, you're speaking to my Enneagram 7 part right now. I think that also, too, that's somewhat probably why I'm a little bit like hesitant when it comes to this stuff, too, because I think that I've just been hearing for so long that that's the issue with Enneagram 7s, or like with me as like somewhat of a compartmentalizer and an avoider, you know, is like, it's again kind of reminding me of those things that we just hear again and again throughout our lives, and then we believe them because people are telling us that these are the bad things about us that we need to change, and then a new opportunity is presented and you're like, wait.
Well, and I just want to share, like, for the first, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months that I was training, I was sitting there like, really? Because I too, like, I had spent years telling my clients, you need to feel it to heal it. Let's get it out of you. It's stuck inside of you, right? And to a certain degree, we do release energy in RRT. So there are some parallels there, but the cool thing is that, yeah, you don't have to feel it in the same way that we were doing it before. And I would say the work that we did went much further than what RRT would do. RRT may clear some experience, but you also were learning things like boundaries, how to communicate, how to accept things as they are, right? So there's a lot of things that you learned around how to manage your emotions, how to be aware of your emotions, that were very useful and wouldn't necessarily happen in 3 RRT sessions, right? Coaching with an RRT facilitator or specialist may get you there. We might talk about those things as well, but it's not the same, not exactly the same, if that makes sense. Like There's so much more that goes into something like a coaching relationship like you and I had versus 3 sessions where you're clearing specific incidences so that they're no longer bothering that person, affecting them going forward.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad that you explained that difference and like brought that up and stuff too, because exactly, like then that kind of allows us to understand that RRT might really help you in solving very specific things. But then there's also that layered with coaching. I know that your mentor, John, and I think I've heard you talk about this too, talk about like hypnotherapy being really great paired with RRT as well or something. Like, I love that so much because I always struggle whenever anyone, and you have definitely not done this, but anyone is like, this is the way. And I much prefer it when it's, no, like there's different things for different things, and a combination is usually where the magic really happens, like the big transformation.
Yeah, totally. With RRT, you do want to come in with a pretty clear idea of what you want to accomplish, where you want to go, what you want to see happening in the future. It's not the place to come as much, I wouldn't say as much where you're like, I don't really know what I want, and I need someone to talk about it and figure it out and make decisions. I'm sure someone trained in RRT will help with that, but it's not really designed to figure out what you want. It's more like you come in, you're like, hey, this is what I've been experiencing. This is what I want to experience. And you're pretty clear on that. That's where we can really get things accomplished quickly in RRT.
Yeah. And I love that. And we've talked before, kind of that's somewhat where your magic is, especially in working with entrepreneurs entrepreneurs is because you kind of understand both sides and you understand a lot of the struggles that we go through. So maybe let's talk about some of the specific things that RRT could really help us with. I know you've mentioned a few, but let's talk about a few maybe specifically like when it comes to entrepreneurs in general and maybe just like life stuff too.
Yeah. So fear, like that's one of the big things that holds entrepreneurs back. Right? It's fear of showing up. It's fear of rejection, fear of being judged. You know what I mean? It's fear of failure. Many entrepreneurs also think they have a fear of success. And there are a few, but also there's an idea out there that's a thing, which I think is often not true. So fear is a really great one to clear. Anger can be cleared really quickly, right? So if you're having issues with your relationship and that then is showing up in your business or is distracting you from your business, some sort of anger, grief. John wrote a book called Grief is Not Sacred, and it's been really magical. I actually lost my dad in January, and I've been amazed at how well I've done with that. And a lot of it is I started learning about RRT in January. So I had this new perspective introduced to me and took a little bit to be like, is this what I believe? But it does really line up to what I was believing very similarly before, but it clears grief really quickly for many people. In terms of phobias, so this would be more life, I would say. People who are afraid of getting on planes or getting in elevators, things like that can be cleared really quickly. Shame and guilt. So that's another thing that happens quite a bit in the entrepreneur world that I've come across is that people don't feel good enough, which from my point of view, what shame is, where guilt would be more, I've done something wrong. Shame is there's something wrong about me. And so it's really great at clearing that up. Type things, feeling unworthy, creating new habits, right? You know how people say, well, I need to be more consistent. That's the one everyone's, I need to be more consistent. I need to post on social media more. So if you want to create habits or cut out bad habits, really useful for that as well.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot. And especially related to both life and entrepreneurship and how they intersect too. So what are like some specific ways that RRT has helped you or like maybe aha moments you've had as you're like learning about it and training in it and stuff?
Yeah. One of my favorite, I guess it was the one that really was like, oh, this really works. I used to drink Starbucks decaf peppermint mochas probably 3 or 4 times a week. I was drinking them because they were comfy and cozy and they feel good, not so much for the caffeine, but they're full of whipped cream and sugar. And so they weren't healthy for me, full of calories. So I asked my teacher, Dr. John Connolly, to clear that for me. And it was in a group session. He probably took maybe, I think 15, 20 minutes, might have been half an hour. It was kind of rushed actually. And he cleared that up for me. And so my experience of it was, so I normally would want one when it was cold outside or I was feeling grouchy. It's my kind of comfort drink. And so the first few times that I got in my vehicle, and it was like that, it was cold or I was grouchy, I did have a bit of an urge to go get one. But I was like, nope, I want to give this a chance to work and see how it goes. And so I didn't go for those 3 times. And now since then, it's just felt natural. I drive by Starbucks all the time. I don't crave it. I don't want it. I'm just like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. And it's just gone.
Yeah. I know. And like a lot of us are like, oh, really? That sounds like something. There are a lot of things in my life I could probably use that on
just
side of things.
Clear it out.
Yeah. And I love how like approachable and relatable that example is specifically and stuff, because I know that especially Dr. John will share a lot of stories of the big T traumas that he helps people with, which is amazing. And so many of us need help with that. And at the same time, there are those smaller T traumas and or just unhealthy habits that we could use this for, and it would just ultimately improve our lives overall. And so because a lot of times too, I think that sometimes it's hard for people to invest in any sort of mindset stuff or any sort of therapy stuff, because first they have to overcome the whole woo-woo factor, which whatever guys, it's 2024, like we need to get over that. But also I think sometimes it's hard for a lot of us to invest in ourselves when we don't understand a tangible outcome. I know that in working with you over the years, you truly helped me in so many ways. We worked on the boundaries, we worked on the habits, showing up, confidence, all that different stuff. And at the same time, it was a good amount of time and the results weren't always like that tangible, even though I could feel them. And like looking back, I can see them, monetary amount of stuff that I did in my business. But I think that's what's awesome about RRT too, is because the results feel really tangible a lot.
And I think you see them faster. So often people will come in with, let's say you come in with anger. By the end of the session, I'll say, check for the anger. And they're like, yeah, it's not there. So they see it right away. They're just like, oh my gosh, like, how did this even happen? It's so cool. I was thinking of another example of how it affected me. I don't remember the Enneagram. You might remember. I don't know if I'm a 2 or a 4, but I'm the feeler. Lots of feelings and good with the feeling.
The
4, I think.
Yeah.
So I think the 4, is what I was thinking. But I would get, in a sense, stuck in my feelings. If I wasn't feeling good, I'd get a little moody, and it would be easy to like waste
total 4.
Waste some time, hang out in my bed, feel the feelings. And that's what I had been taught. We'll just feel them and then they'll move through you. I would be like, okay, I'm just going to sit and feel until it shifts. And with RRT now, and this is just a shift in perspective, is I might feel it for a minute or two. And then I'm like, I ask myself, what can I learn from it? What does the feeling want me to do? And sometimes the feeling wants me to do something that's not possible or not real or about something in the past, which you can't do anything about. And so now my perspective is, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of meh, but what can I do that's useful? What can I do that would be good to have done? What can I do that's valuable? And I literally get up and go do stuff. So I accomplish way more stuff in the day than I never used to, because I'd get stuck in that feeling and think that I needed to let the feeling move before I did something.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Another great perspective shift that I think applies to entrepreneurs is this whole idea that we have to feel worthy before we do something. This comes a lot from, I think, the manifestation world or personal development, or I'm not even sure, but I think you've heard it probably. I know I've said it. I've told people this. I'm like, you want to feel worthy to manifest your goals. You want to feel worthy, right? That's not true. I was just talking to someone this morning and she's like, yeah, I've created a lot of things and reached a lot of goals from this sense of feeling unworthy, right? Because I use that as a driver. I didn't feel good enough, so I accomplished things. And then there's definitely examples out there. I'm thinking of another woman I met, and she was a successful doctor to the point where people were asking her to do talks, and she was coaching other doctors and actually starting a coaching practice with other doctors. She had a husband and a child, a family she was happy with. From the outside, most people would say that's a very successful life. But if you asked her, she didn't feel good enough. She didn't feel worthy. So then it became very clear to me that you don't need one for the other. Yeah, will things maybe feel better if you feel good about yourself and you like who you are and you like what you're doing and you like the way you're doing it? Yeah. And you could make that one of the goals. If you want one of your goals is to feel better, you don't need to have it to get to your goal, right? So like, you're in Colorado, right? I'm up in Canada. Let's say I wanted to come visit you, but someone says, no, you first have to go to Mexico. I have to go from Canada to Mexico to get to Colorado. That's what it's like to say to someone, you have to feel worthy to reach your goals. You have to love yourself to be loved. Yeah, if you want to go to Mexico, it's going to be fun, but you don't have to go there to get to Colorado.
Yes. Yeah. That makes total sense to me too, because that's actually one of the biggest things that a lot of us struggle with is taking action and taking messy action and taking unconfident action. Yeah. And like, I honestly think that that's one of my kind of superpowers as like the way I work and the way I do business myself is just, I've done a lot of things when I was not qualified necessarily to do them. I could look back on stuff I've created in the past and somewhat cringe if I wanted to be super judgy of myself. I try not to be, but I still did it and it got me to where I am today and I still helped people. And so a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in that deer in headlights inaction, just procrastinating, waiting for it to be right, waiting to be ready, and it's not. And so RRT can help you get past that.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And you're so right. Like you absolutely have always been an action taker and you've implemented what you've learned and you've just taken things and you've gone. And I love that you had that perspective of, I'm going to do it messy now so that Kinsey in 6 months from now is going to be really happy with what I've done. And she's going to know because I've been doing it for 6 months, right? Like I thought that was such a great perspective to have.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I'm going to do it now because in 6 months, I'm going to be grateful that I did it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely am like a future thinker somewhat and stuff. I try to keep myself present, but man, I'm always thinking about that future. And so I'm always like, okay, I want that Kinsey to be feeling way better, way more confident, be wherever closer to where I want to be than like this Kinsey right now.
It's served you incredibly well. You've built an incredible business, 2 podcasts, like you have accomplished a lot more than many entrepreneurs have because you didn't get stuck in that. You didn't wait till you felt ready. You didn't wait till you felt good enough. You didn't wait till you felt worthy or whatever it was. You know what I mean? You just did it.
Well, and I was going to say, I think that there are some things that I am naturally inclined toward. And at the same time, I was having your help with a lot of it too, in your own way. But also, like I will fully admit that there are a lot of things that do not come naturally to me. And everyone feels stuck in some way. Everyone struggles with something and stuff. And that's where I think like any form of therapy can really help. But especially this RRT stuff is really, really interesting. And this might totally be another Enneagram 7 situation. But for me, I don't like really feeling like I'm wasting my time on stuff that's like unnecessary or irrational, right? And I think that's what makes like the RRT stuff really attractive to me, because I'm like, I get so frustrated with myself about certain things, like certain blocks I have, certain things I get stuck on, where I'm like, I just wish that like I wasn't feeling this way. I wish this wasn't a block for me. I wish I wasn't getting stuck, but it is. And it's really hard to overcome. And especially that sort of stuff, if there was a rapid resolution, especially because I know that this stuff is so irrational or doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so what's going on there is that we have two different facets of mind, right? So we have the logical mind that builds businesses, does algebra, builds rocket ships. I always say that. And then I'm like, mine doesn't build rocket ships, but some people's do, right? Right. Then there's the other part of our mind, which is the more primitive part of the mind that controls our blinking and our breathing and our digestion. And that part of the mind is really concerned with survival. That's its main concern. But there's this huge discrepancy between this advanced portion of the mind and then the primitive part. And because of that, sometimes the stuff coming in, there's like a little glitch there, right? So you're saying the logical mind is, I should try harder. I need to get over this. I just need to get over it. I just need to let it go. The reason it's not working is because it's those thoughts, those feelings are not coming from that part of the mind. It's coming from the primitive part of the mind, which is causing them to create some survival, basically, make sure to keep you safe and keep you alive. And so that's the cool thing about RRT is that we go in and we use language, which is why I said it looks like a conversation, right? Language, and then unique processes, which update the primitive part of the mind. So we get right to the root cause, we update and we clear things there at that primitive part of the mind. And then the things that were bothering you are gone. And it's quick and it's lasting because we got to the root of it. And yeah, we get to where it is instead of trying to fix it with the part of our mind or brain that is not even creating the thoughts or feeling, but that has no control over those.
Yes, this makes sense. And I'm so glad we brought it here because exactly, there are some things where you can feel that glitch, like you said, you can feel that disconnect within your own self, but it's really hard to access that yourself with your more advanced part of your mind, which is what you're totally used to. I'm sure it's hard for us alone to access the primitive parts of ourselves and stuff.
It absolutely is. And that's another unique thing about RRT is it's not a self-help thing, right? It's really, I didn't stop drinking coffee on my own. Dr. John Connolly helped me, right? With RRT, we look at it as you could probably give yourself a massage, but how good of a full body massage can you give yourself, right? You can probably give yourself a haircut, but it's a lot nicer and probably easier to have someone else help you out there, right? You're going to do your own dental work? Not so much, right? So with RRT, the connection is a piece of it and it's not self-help. And that's why probably you won't see as much of people saying, oh, do this or do this or do this, because it's no, come on in, let's create a connection. Let's see what we can do about this together. And let me take the weight off your shoulders. Let me take responsibility for clearing this, shifting this, and moving this.
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's all coming full circle, Tani. I love it when that happens.
I do.
In conversation, because you brought that up in the very first part of our conversation where it's like, RRT is different because we take responsibility for your healing. And I was just kind of wrapping my mind around it. And I hadn't exactly associated it with the self-help thing. Man, you just saying that about the self-help thing, I don't think I've even necessarily realized the extent of the weight that self-help puts on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, self-help, it's putting all this responsibility that we already have as women, as entrepreneurs. We have so many responsibilities already, and we have to help ourselves. Of course, like we do in different ways, but I loved that analogy, the massage, the haircut. I myself have loved the Zoom age because I cannot do the back of my hair ever. My husband has to see that. But yeah, anyway, I love that.
So self-help, you're saying how it adds weight, right? And then we think that, yeah, we've got to do this on ourselves. I need to clear this. I need to shift this. I need to get over this. And then when we feel like we've tried and we can't, what does it add? More like disappointment or weight or something's wrong with me or I haven't been able to do it. So it compounds this sense of there's something wrong with me. I'm trying to fix this. I've done all these different things. And yeah, it's not on you. Go find somebody who's skilled enough to clear it for you.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about our Archie. We'll tell you if we can't, we'll be straight up. We're like, I'm sorry that I wasn't skilled enough to support you with that. Right.
Yeah.
You ever hear that from therapists or coaches? I don't think it's common.
Yeah. I mean, and truly too, I just do have to share this as a personal testament to that sort of stuff. I have been in therapy like since high school, since even middle school, started with parents divorcing and stuff. And this is something that I share a lot because I don't think that a lot of people who are new to therapy realize not every therapist is for everyone. And that's something I learned early because being forced to go to court mandated therapy and then continuing to go to different therapists in my high school years and realizing that, okay, this therapist is just an asshole. This therapist just coddled me. This therapist really focused on something helpful until I finally found the therapist that actually did really help me in the time that I needed it. Honestly, I don't think that any of those therapists that work for me ever said anything. I think it was one of those things that I just knew.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, not going back to that dude, And it took a while, but that isn't something that you always see in the space. And so that is refreshing and nice to hear in a way.
Yeah. Like we mentioned earlier, it doesn't make sense that you can access the part of your mind, just like you can't give yourself a back massage. You know what I mean? After you've been trying, like you can try, but if you try and then the messaging has been, you need to do this. You're like, yeah, but I'm trying to touch my back. I'm trying to rub my back. If you're listening right now, try to massage your back. See how well that goes.
Guys, Tani's like looking like you're acting out a monkey or something. But yeah, no, you can't. Self-massage is not good.
Well, that, and then if you thought that you should be able to do it, but you can't do it, that just adds to like the disappointment or the negative feeling. So that's what I think is so cool.
I think that's just such a relief to like let go of any sort of expectations we might be putting on ourselves because that just adds to our place. As entrepreneurs, we're already juggling so much already.
So much.
Oh my goodness. Tani, this has been such a great conversation. I'm so excited. I really definitely want to try out some RRT therapy with you and stuff. So I'll definitely have to give the pod an update after that and stuff. But thank you for sharing all this with us, and will you share it with everyone how they can connect with you and find out more about you, because I know they'll want to do that.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful to be here with you and have this conversation. Definitely can reach out to me at TaniMorgan.com. So TaniMorgan.com. And then I'm Tani_Morgan on Instagram and TikTok. Either one of those places is a great place to find me.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
How great was that combo with Tani, you guys? She really is opening my eyes up to the world of RRT. And I really think that this is an amazing therapy that I've seen from the testimonials shared online, from the stories I've seen online. This really does help a lot of people. And I hope that if this is something that might be helpful for you, you reach out to Tani because she is amazing. And I have just seen the video testimonials on her Instagram lately, and I'm kind of feeling FOMO over here and be like, oh, I gotta go check this out with Tani for sure. So definitely go check her out, connect with her on Instagram, and also connect with me on Instagram. I'm at feelgoodsocial. Send me a message. Let me know that you came from the podcast, and I will be sure to give you a follow back and just continue spreading you love and support over there. All right. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.